It's the Happy Families podcast. It's the podcast for the time-poor parent who just wants answers now.
G'day, this is Dr. Justin Coulson. Welcome to the Happy Families podcast. Today, a special guest, having a chat about kids and cash. That's right. Children and money, how do they manage it or how do they mismanage it? What are they doing with their dollars that we give them, their hard-earned pocket money, their birthday money, their Christmas money? Yish is the MD, the managing director of a new app that's called Kit, K-I-T, Kit. And Yish joins me now to talk about kids, money and the app. Oh, by the way, I will mention this is not a sponsored podcast. I came across Yish through a mutual friend, saw some of the data that had been collected by Kit and the things that they're doing with the app. I thought parents need to know about this. So hashtag not sponsored. Yish, thanks for joining me on the Happy Families podcast. It's great to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me, Justin.
So Yish, parents need to teach their kids about money. You've done a survey and found that a lot of kids think that the most effective way to teach kids about money is through standardized lessons at school. That surprised me. Tell me about the percentage of parents that were going in that direction and why you think that's important. And do you reckon that they're on the ball there, or do you think the parents should be doing it?
So 61% of parents that we surveyed, and there were 2,000 parents that we surveyed across Australia, said that they thought that schools are the best place for kids to learn about money. And I agree that schools are a very important place to learn about what we call financial literacy, which is the knowledge and concepts when it comes to money. But there's much more to being good at money than just financial literacy. We talk about financial capability, which encompasses things like the values you have around money, positive money mindsets and behaviors. And parents actually play a really strong role, not just in role modeling, but also talking to their kids about money so that they do have those skills when they're in everyday money moments, like at the supermarket or when they're buying lollies or things that they might be saving for. So, it has to be both.
I don't think that I learnt very much about money until I had money and then started spending it all and realised that I didn't have any money again. And that wasn't necessarily when I was at the tuck shop spending money on my 20 cents worth of eucalyptus drops and my meat pie. Do you reckon that it's one of those things, though, that no matter how much you talk about money, the kids eventually have to go and live it and experience it?
Absolutely. Nothing is teaches kids faster about money than spending all their pocket money and wanting something and realizing they don't have enough to teach them to save. So, no, I agree. It's not just talking about money. Talking is very important, and financial socialization or talking about money is a key indicator of financial capability. The other side of it is having hands-on experience and kids being able to make their own decisions. And I think sometimes parents are afraid of worrying their children because they don't want them to have to deal with money. They're young and want to have fun, and yes, you can do that, but you can also do it in a really controlled way. So, the giving of pocket money and getting them to earn money through chores, ways that kids can understand, yes, money's not free. You've got to do things to earn money. And then the decisions they make about money, the idea that if you want something, actually, why don't you earn it? Or why don't you save up for it so that you can then buy it? And how amazing that is to be able to delay gratification and then get something that you really wanted.
It's so funny that you use those two words. I was literally about to say delayed gratification. It's such a challenge for so many kids. I want to talk to you about something specific that came up in your research. So, as you said, 2,000 Australian parents, you found that 1,400 of them, more than that, more than 7 in 10 are concerned about the impact that online games are having on their kids' money behaviour. But about half of parents are actively avoiding having conversations with kids about money. Can we unpack that a little bit? Because there's so much there that we could talk about.
Oh, yes. And online games I think they're very dangerous because, as millennial parents, sort of parents of young children are millennials, and they play games growing up, a PlayStation, and maybe you go to the store and you buy a PlayStation game. But the world of online gaming today is actually very different and much more dangerous in some instances. So, you have games where kids can spend money within the game, so in-app spending, and then you have skins and things that kids are marketed to within the games. There'll be sales saying, don't miss out on this latest drop. You don't buy this now, it won't be this price forever. So all these marketing tactics, kids aren't really being protected against when it comes to online gaming. So I'm not surprised that 7 out of 10 parents are really worried about it, particularly when it's online as well, and you no longer have that tangible link between here's money and I'm handing it over to buy something, but actually they're just clicking. And then somewhere, on their parents' credit card or something, money is just being deducted and the kids don't necessarily have that link that actually it's real money being spent.
Yeah, and because it's not their money anyway, there's even more distance between them and the money. I had a funny experience when I bought a meal just in the last couple of days. For whatever reason, I decided to pay cash instead of tapping my card. I can't remember the last time I used cash for anything, but I opened my wallet and saw this cash that had literally been there for, I reckon, about 6 months. I thought, I might just spend the cash. And the lady held the machine out for me to tap my $50 note on the top of the machine. Like, it didn't click with her that I was actually giving her a pineapple, a little sort of golden coloured 50 rather than tapping my card. It was such a bizarre thing because we're so in the habit of now not really dealing with money, but just dealing with bits and bytes, with the computerized elements that transfer money without us ever touching it. Our kids are not experiencing money the same way that we used to. And I guess the other thing that stands out to me when you're talking about what's happening with the online gaming is gambling. We know now that our kids, because they've got access to our credit cards, they're connected to all of our devices and that sort of thing. We know that online gambling is becoming a bigger and bigger issue, right?
Yes, and it's not just sort of gambling in the sense of children are having access to gambling, but also in online games themselves. You pay your money, but you don't necessarily know what's going to be inside. You have a chance of having something that's really valuable. And so that sort of invariable reward actually, works on the addiction centers of the brain. And so, it's one thing for a parent and a slot machine, and an adult but when you're talking about kids being exposed to exactly those same mechanisms, it can be really dangerous and addictive. And trying to explain to them that, to kids, that this is something that they're trying to trick you into buying more and more again and again.
Yish, another question for you in relation to kids and money. In your survey, did you ask parents whether they feel like they're well equipped to teach their children about how money works, both in real life and the online world is still real life, but you know what I mean, in the virtual world and in the real world? Do parents feel like they're across it? Do they feel like they've got enough knowledge to really effectively teach their kids to grow their money sense?
Yeah, so, more than half the parents that we surveyed said that they teach their children about money based on their own knowledge, but pretty much all of them, I think it was 92%, said that they could use help from other sources. And this is particularly this case for this sort of online and cashless society that parents we just didn't grow up in a world of money that was like that.
After the break, I want to ask you a couple of questions about what parents can do to help their kids to be better educated about money, because it is such a challenging topic. And there are so many different ways that we can go about this. I know we've talked about it previously on the Happy Families podcast, but I've got a couple of specific questions for you, Yish. Yish Ko is the managing director of a new app called Kit. It's a money app for kids. This is a not sponsored conversation about kids and money and what they're doing online. Back right after the break. Starting school is an exciting time, but it can also be a little worrying. The Starting School Activity Book is a printable workbook that will help prepare your little one for the first thrilling school days and give you tips on the best ways to talk about all the new things they're going to experience. Perfect for kindy, preschool or big school, and absolutely free. Online at happyfamilies.com.au. It's the Happy Families podcast, the podcast for the type 4 parent who just wants answers. Now, I think we need to get to some answers. Yish Ko is the managing director of a new app called Kit. That's K-I-T. Yish, I'm really enjoying our conversation. I want to talk about how parents can help their kids to become more money literate. You've done all this research. You've got a couple of thousand parents who are giving you their information. When you sifted through all the data, what were the key points that stood out for you if parents want their kids to become more money literate? What would you point them towards?
So I pointed towards sort of 3 different things. So the first one is it is really important to talk about money. More than almost half of parents are avoiding talking to their kids about money. And, usually because they don't want to worry their kids about money, or they feel that they themselves aren't great about money. But you don't have to talk about it in a way that will worry your kids. You talk about things like, the fact that you work to earn money, talk about the importance of saving, things you might be saving for, how you make decisions on what to buy, and even things like, superannuation or the cost of living. You can talk about it in generic terms without going into the specifics to worry your kids about what specifically is happening.
Yeah, so I want to pick up on that, because there's this sense when somebody says you need to talk to your kids about money, talk about your own financial situation, a lot of parents are like, I don't want to tell the kids how much I'm earning. I don't want them to go and tell the neighbours or their friends or all these other people. I don't want the school teacher to find out how much I'm earning. But that's not really what you're saying. We do an activity with our kids every few months where we print up the credit card statement. And we actually go through, well, actually, we have a debit card, but credit card, debit card, whatever. The same principle, that is, I'm using a card for all of my purchases because I get my airline points when I do that, right? But we sit down with the kids and we go through line by line and categorize what our expenses are. So there's fuel and there's food and there's schooling and there's clothing and there's haircuts and blah, 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 blah. And we do that for every month or every couple of months so that the kids can see where the money goes. And then we'll ask them, who's getting most of our money? And how do you feel about the money going there? And how much money are we spending on our Indian and our Thai when we buy out? And how much money are Coles and Woolies getting every fortnight from us? Are we giving Coles and Woolies too much money? Are we travelling too much? How much are we spending on fuel? Is that okay to spend that much money every single week? And we're teaching them how to divide it so you can work out what it is per week, and then times it by 52 so you can work out what it is annually. And it's those conversations, talking about what we're spending our money on and how we're making those decisions. We review our subscriptions regularly. So we'll say, how much are we using Netflix? Do we really watch Disney? How important is it that we have the Spotify subscription? Should we go and get this new one that's just come out that everyone's talking about? How important is TV? We recently had one about Foxtel. My parents came to stay for a couple of nights, and my dad loves his footy. And so we got the free trial of Foxtel. I think it's like a 10-day free trial. And I sat down with the kids and I said, okay, Foxtel costs, I think it was, I don't know, $70 a month or something. Or if you have the full package, it's $110 a month. And I said, is it worth $110 to have Foxtel? And they didn't even ask what's on Foxtel. They just looked at me and said, whoa, that's a lot of money, because they know that Netflix, because we've had these conversations, they know that our Netflix subscription's less than $20 a month. And they're going, Foxtel is not 5 times better. We're not willing to pay that. By the way, Foxtel, I hope that they're not listening to this podcast, because they're never going to advertise with us after that. But you know what I mean? I think when you say talk about money, sometimes parents will say, oh, no, I'm not going to have those conversations.
It's really interesting. We had around Easter, one of our colleagues had a young son, and we ran some testing with kids, and we asked kids, what are your parents' attitude towards money? And there was a hilarious 9-year-old who said, my parents just dish out, they just spend on everything, just like this. And the parents were horrified. She said, we just went to the Easter show, and we had budgeted that the kid would be allowed one toy and like one show bag. And, they never actually told him that they had budgeted that in their mind. And so in his mind, he was like, I just got whatever I wanted. And so there was actually a really interesting learning point for the parents. They said, actually, from now on, like now that we've heard our kids say that they think that we just spend money willy-nilly, that we're going to talk to them about like why we set a budget up front and what the rationale was.
I love that insight. That's so great. And like you said, a couple of other things. I just want to draw them out. I jot them down here. You said talk about what you're saving for. So the Easter show is a perfect example of that, right? Or whatever the holiday that's coming up. How much money do we want to have as spending money when we go away for this weekend? What are we going to spend our money on? So the kids know that there's a budget, that there's an intention to spend, but it's going to be limited to X, Y, and Z. It's those money conversations that teach them to be money literate. And the one that we've started with our kids, because housing affordability is such a big issue, we're talking to our kids from 12 and up about saving up for their first house, so that they've actually got this big picture goal in mind. And what we're seeing is that our young kids, like 12 and 15, they're making money decisions now with a house in mind or a unit in mind or something like that. I don't know. They'll never save for a unit based on the amount of pocket money I give them. I mean, they get like $10 a week. And if they get a part-time job, it's not going to be that much either. But they're putting the money away with a recognition that if they want to have the house, they're going to have to save their backsides off. So hint number 1, talk about money. I love that. Now, you said there were 3. What are the next 2?
So number 2 is give your children hands-on experience with the money. So let them make their own decisions about money, obviously in a controlled way. So, giving pocket money. I think the average from our survey that Australian kids are getting these days is $12 a week. Just let them spend that money however they want to spend that money and allow them to make mistakes, because that is how they'll earn. So it's much better that they waste, the $20 on lollies and then realize the next week that they wanted to buy this toy and now they don't have anything, that they do that now than have like a $5,000 credit card debt down the track. It's really interesting how they will then teach themselves, and you as the parent don't have to be the bad guy and say no. So one of somebody I know gave me the anecdote that his kid went and spent all his money on jelly beans, and they were in Kmart, and the kid wanted to buy this $20 toy, and he had nothing left of his pocket money. And the next day, the kid actually unprompted said to his dad, I really regret buying all those lollies. I think next time, before I make a purchase like that, I'll wait for 24 hours and think about if I really want to buy it. And this is with no prompting from the parent whatsoever. Like the fact that the kid had understood the consequences and thought about how to prevent that from happening in the future taught him everything without the parent needing to be the bad guy.
Yeah, I really like that. Of course, we need to encourage our kids and give them something to save for and look forward to things. But letting the kids have the learning can be so powerful. What's the last one?
And the last one is about looking for ways to collaborate with your child and find win-wins. I love that you show your credit card statement to your kids. I think it won't be too long till you can ask them to find you a better deal on your electricity and split the savings. So,
right. Nice idea. I like that. Yeah.
But yeah, collaborate with them. So, if you have a holiday that you're all going on, if you are saving up for a family holiday, can you get them to save up for something that they might want to buy when they're on the holiday as well, so that you're doing something together as a family? Have you got things lying around that you could sell on Facebook Marketplace? And, maybe they can take the charge and then, take a bit of a fee for that. So find lots of ways that can make your life easier, but teach them about money and give them the opportunity to earn a little bit as well.
I love it. What a great conversation. Tell us a little bit about Kit, since you've been so kind sharing all of these great money tips for parents and kids. What is this money app for kids? What is Kit? So
Kit is a money app for kids. It is designed because we're now in a world where we're going cashless, and so money and payments are becoming invisible. So Kit is all about, in this new world of digital money, making money visible for kids and helping them to have an experience for kids that feels like it's for them. It gives them that level of autonomy, but where parents have oversight and control. So with the Kit account, it comes with a prepaid card. Kids can earn pocket money by doing chores. It's linked to a bank account that the parent sets up when they set up the account. They can save their money, set their goals. It's all customizable with stickers, and it's highly visual so that kids can understand it. And then they can also spend with the prepaid card, and it all comes with customizable controls, spend limits, card and PIN protection, and so forth. And Kit is a little black bouncing ball. It's a character itself who actually educates kids about money as they use the app. So when certain things happen in the app, Kit will nudge the kid and say, hey, it looks like your goal might be coming up. You've still got some money left to save. Do you want to check it out? Kit will also explain when they first activate their prepaid card, for example, what is this card? And, unfortunately, there isn't an unlimited source of money on it. So we've designed it so that it really is for young people first and foremost.
Okay, super. If people want to learn more about Kit, is there a website or
heykit.com.au is our website, and you can sign up. We're in the process of a beta at the moment, so sign up on that and you can get access to the app. We have a cap of 5,000.
Okay, Yish Ko, the MD of a new app called Kit. You can find out more at heykit.com.au. Really appreciate your time, Yish, and good luck with the app. I hope that it helps a whole new generation of kids become so much more financially literate, savvy, and accomplished. Well done.
Thanks so much, Justin. Appreciate it.
The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. And if you'd like more info about making your family happier, you can build their financial capability with heykit.com.au or visit happyfamilies.com.au for more about making your family flourish.